What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on the Cleveland Browns and these guys and the Cleveland Browns, man. If it's reporting that they're going to keep 4 quarterbacks, right? And if you're a quarterback and you live in the Cleveland area, you up in Ohio somewhere, man, this is where you need to be because the Cleveland Browns, this dysfunctional organization, is just going to keep 4 quarterbacks. It's crazy that they going into the season with 4 quarterbacks. So what I want to do though is I want to get a reaction and listen to some comments from Jason Whitlock speaking on this situation with the Cleveland Browns and them keeping 4 quarterbacks. And so with that being said, let me start this audio of Jason Whitlock and give my input.
And what do you think of Adam Schefter's reporting insinuation that the Browns are going to keep 4 quarterbacks? I think it doesn't shock me. The moment they took Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, they had no choice, or they'd be called racist if they let go of Shedeur. This is like they built in QB controversy, insanity right into the roster and the season. It's like they wanted this to happen, and now they have it.
Yeah, this is what I.
Now I don't know. I don't know if the Cleveland Browns feel like if they get rid of Shedeur Sanders, they're going to be racist. Number one, and if people do holler racism, like why should Cleveland Browns even care, right? The organization, why should they even care? You already had you bought Deshaun Watson in and gave him like the largest deal gave him that massive deal. He's a black quarterback. So that right there to me, like that argument don't hold, if I'm Shedeur Sanders, I don't think that because I'm black, you can't cut me. I got leverage over the team. No black quarterback in the NFL, I'm sure, feels like, or no black player feel like, well, you can't cut me because I'm black. So that right there, I disagree with Jason Whitlock, but let him continue.
Call the QB conundrum. Jason, as soon as they drafted Shedeur, here's what's going to happen, though. So if he secures a roster spot, whether he's on IR or he's the 4th quarterback, then you know what's going to happen by October when this team is inevitably 2-5. Free Shedeur. Let him play or let him go. See, they're in a no-win situation. And Jason, you talk about the 4-quarterback situation. Again, that's been done before. The Patriots did it because they like Tom Brady. But I do not recall a time when 2 quarterbacks were drafted so close to each other in the mid-rounds. I've talked about this before. We've had situations with Heath Schuler and Gus Frerotte. We had RG3, and then we had Kirk Cousins. So you get the first-round quarterback, then you get the guy that's clearly defined as the backup or developmental guy. Now, both those situations, the mid-round guy actually outperformed the top 5 pick, both with the Redskins at that time.
Also, you had what was the guy that went to the Seahawks? Well, you know what? Because Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson was drafted, I think, in the 3rd or the 4th round. Then the Seahawks had picked the quarterback early in the rounds and earlier in that draft. And Russell Wilson won that starting job, right? And so that's true. I mean, it has happened before where teams have held on to 4, but this team right here, usually when the teams draft, they have like a high draft pick, and then they'll go late in the rounds in the draft. They'll go later in the draft and then pick up somebody else, right? But Dylan was chosen in the 3rd round. Then you have Shedeur in the 5th round. So if really it would stand to reason that you wouldn't, once you picked up Dylan, you wouldn't pick up any other quarterbacks behind him. You would just try to, if you can, like to shore up some other position like of need on the team instead of picking a quarterback. because you at that point you still already had Joe Flacco and you had Deshaun Watson, right? Now they bringing in Kenny Pickett, so it's just crazy.
So I don't remember the last time a quarterback was ever drafted in the 3rd round, and the team says, you know what, we need to fortify that room with the 4th guy. Let's go to the 5th round. I don't understand this, Jason. In one respect, Flacco's your starter. So if those 2 rookies are going to make the roster, I don't see why they're keeping Kenny Pickett then. Pickett's not your future, and he's certainly not your present.
That's an excellent point made by Steve Kim, right? What was the point of bringing in Kenny Pickett when no matter what happens, like there's already enough tape on Kenny Pickett to know that like he's not your future. Then Kenny Pickett won't be your backup, because if you keep Kenny Pickett on the roster as your backup, he gets some time for some reason, he will be stunning the growth of one of these young guys that you want to develop. So I don't understand that from a coaching standpoint or a management standpoint. Like, why would you even bring Kenny Pickett on? But let's continue.
It's probably because they don't believe in either Shador or Dillon Gabriel at this point. But my in a just and right world, they release Shador, in my opinion. But I mean, now he's hurt, so that
Yeah,
changes
what a
things.
stunner.
But it makes it a little harder. But in your mind,
I disagree with Jason Whitlock right there. He says, like, in a just and right world, you would release Shador Sanders. In my opinion, Shador Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, like those two, Shador played one preseason game and he looked pretty good. Dillon Gabriel didn't look bad. He had 2 turnovers. Let me see, the interception they said wasn't his fault, but the fumble that took place, I gotta give, in my opinion, that fumble was his fault because he did not put that ball into the running back's stomach. He made the running back had to extend for the ball, and that's a no-no. So at least one of those turnovers I would attribute to Dillon, right? But still, that like in a fair world, you want these two guys to duke it out for that spot, and that they're not having an opportunity. So from what Shador Sanders has shown so far, I don't think that Dillon Gabriel has outplayed him. So why would Jason Whitlock say, well, let's get rid of, in a just world, you would get rid of, Shador Sanders? To me, it don't make any sense.
And the smart move would be just release Kenny Pickett.
Right. Because this would appease everybody. And look, Dillon Gabriel played well. I believe that his upside is a long-time career backup that'll bank a lot of money. Think Chase Daniels, Charlie Batch. I think that's a very good living. You get to be around football.
So Steve Kim says that he believes that Dillon Gabriel will be a career backup quarterback. And so that don't sound like the endorsement of somebody who can beat out Shador Sanders for that starting spot. Shador Sanders is not, nobody is going into this saying that, Shador Sanders is going to be a career backup quarterback. Shador Sanders is fighting for a starting position. So when Jason Whitlock says that, in a fair and just world, you would get rid of Shador Sanders without even like giving these guys the opportunity to like I said, to duke it out and to battle for the starting spot. If you see Kenny Pickett as a career backup, then I can understand. All right, Shador Sanders will be your starter. Then you will have Dillon Gabriel, the career backup. You'll have him as your number 2, and you'll have Joe Flacco as like sort of like the mentor of these guys, and like the the wise old man in the room, so to say, helping these guys in their career. I can see it from that, but they really need to get rid of Kenny Pickett, and nobody's really saying anything about Deshaun Watson. Maybe he's already gone. But yeah, I can see it working out like that. Shador being your starter, Dylan Gabriel, the career number 2. If he don't beat out Shador, then Kenny Pickett off the roster. Joe Flacco is the will be the guy. Like like your old veteran.
Being in a cubicle, and get this, Jason, the best fringe benefit at age 45, you could still walk. It's a good job. It really is. It beats selling insurance. But the other thing is, this is the reality, and why I might just say, you know what, Kenny, you're good enough to be one of the 64 quarterbacks in the league, but there's no future with us. Let's roll the dice and see what we have in the 2 young kids, because this is, I think, in the back of everybody's mind. I don't know if it's the elephant in the room. There is a chance that the future Browns quarterback is actually playing this autumn on Saturday afternoons.
Now that would be crazy. I think they're referring to Arch Manning, right? If the Cleveland Browns brought in 2 quarterbacks this year, and then they wind up going after Arch Manning, that would be crazy. Number 1, Archie Manning, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. What's the other brother name? I think that's his son. The oldest brother, the oldest Manning brother. I don't think those guys will allow Arch Manning to go anywhere near the Cleveland Browns organization. I just don't see it. No way Arch Manning. I put money on that. They don't want him nowhere near. Deion Sanders didn't want Shador Sanders in Cleveland. But he had they had no choice once everybody else kept passing on him. So he had to go where he was wanted. But Arch Manning, I don't see him going to Cleveland at all. So they can try to tank for him, but they'll just be wasting their time.
Probably a damn good chance of that. I want to. Danny Cannell is someone that I respect a lot. He somehow has figured out or come up with a prediction. He could see the Browns winning 9 or 10 games this season. Wow. I can't figure it out. They're in the same division with Lamar Jackson.
Right.
They're in the same division with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
They're in the same division with, he may be spoiled and past his expiration date, but Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers that have gone all in.
Yeah, I don't see the Cleveland Browns this season winning 9 games. I really don't. I don't see them winning 9 games. Like Jason Whitlock said, the Cleveland Browns are in the same division. They're in the AFC North, right? And that's Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. All of those teams have really good quarterbacks, and even all of those teams are in really good defenses, right? You got the Pittsburgh defense, and then on the other side of the ball, you have Aaron Rodgers, which I'm not really. I think Aaron Rodgers still has some gas in the tank. Then you have the Baltimore Ravens, who have Lamar Jackson. Then they have a solid defense. You got Joe Burrows and Cincinnati. Yeah, I find it hard to believe that the Cleveland Browns will win 9 games this year. I would be very surprised if they did. I just think their team is dysfunctional. I think that what the Cleveland Browns should do really, though, is to bank on these 2 young guys. Keep the 2 young guys, Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, whoever battles it out to be your starter, let that guy be your starter. Let the other young guy be your backup. Joe Flacco, will be there tutoring them and mentoring them and stuff like that. Kenny Pickett, have him, just release him and have him move on. So, yeah, that's all I really had to say, though, about this dysfunctional organization called the Cleveland Browns. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.